All right, this is Latin video number 11. We are going to focus on exercise 12 for just a minute. If it's easy for you and you can race through it and do it. And if it's not, we'll spend some time on it. So exercise 12, page 19. We're in the second declension. Pause here for a moment and I want you to write out 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I want you to skip a line in between each one. Write out 6, 7, 8, and 9. And leave a space between each one, okay? Go ahead and do that. I'm going to write out my first one here. All right. So let's talk about this. In exercise 12, we are instructed to just translate the phrase. You'll notice, let's take a look at our second declension chart for a second. You'll notice when you look at exercise 12, we have a similar grouping of endings here. We have in the whole first column, all of our endings of the second word end with a long I. And all of our endings with the first word end with a or us. Okay? We know that from our second declension, us is nominative singular. And we know that in the first declension, is nominative singular. Is nominative singular. Okay? So we have so in this first column, I'm looking at exercise 12, 1 through 5, we have a nominative word, a word in the nominative case, and then a word in the genitive case. Let's look at the column 6 through 10. The first word, us. Okay, all nominative endings in the first and second declension. And then look at the second declension. I, orum, e. Good. All genitive endings. So clearly they are having us practice the nominative genitive pair right here. The blank of the blank. Or the blank apostrophe S blank. Okay? So we're going to practice that right now. I want to, in particular, look at 6, 7, 8, and 9 with you because there's a mixture of first and second declension noun endings. Now, I should mention this in case it hasn't occurred to you yet. This is the first exercise that we've had so far in Henle 1, where we are mixing declensions, where we have an exercise where we have to simultaneously work with the first declension and the second declension at the same time. This should raise some questions for the brand new Latin student. And I'm going to try and answer some of those questions. The first thing that I want to say that might answer a question for you is, every time you get a new vocabulary word, a new vocabulary noun, and you've been given a handful of nouns up until this point, every time you get a new noun, it gives you two words, right? Amicus, amici, deus, dei, servus, servi, or terra, terrae, porta, portae. What's another one? Gloria, gloriae. Okay? Gives you two words for each noun. That second word it gives you is the genitive singular. We've learned that. But the point I'm trying to make is it's telling you, when it gives you the new vocab word, it's telling you to which declension it belongs. Gloria, gloriae is a first declension noun. And here's the point I'm making. It's always a first declension noun. You can't put second declension endings on a first declension noun. You can't change Gloria, gloriae you can't change it to glorious, glory, glorio, glorium, glorio. It doesn't work like that. Whatever case a noun is in, it stays in forever, and those are its endings. Okay. I mention that because soon cases are going to have to like match up with each other. And so if something is in the nominative singular, it's going to have like a nominative singular buddy. But if that buddy is in a different case, it stays in that case. So this is the first exercise. We are looking at two words together, and one might be in the first declension and one might be in the second declension, and that's okay. They don't have to match declensions. Okay, they don't have to match declensions. When we're doing the nominative and the genitive together, and that's what we're doing here, Gloria is in the nominative, Maria is in the genitive. When we're doing nominative and genitive together, they stay in the case they're born in. You can't put them in other cases. So you can't give Gloria a different declension ending. I'll mention this later when it's more relevant, but that is a common question to have. Can we put second declension endings on a first declension noun? And the answer is no. So let's look at this together. Number 6, we're having to remember back to our first declension noun endings. Now, if you haven't jotted these down, if you can't look at them in front of you, jot your first declension noun endings down. I am, I, or arum, is, as, is. You jot those down so that we can take a look at it. Let's look at Gloria Mariae. One of these words is in the nominative, and one of these words is in the genitive. All right? Mariae, if you look at your chart, could be nominative subject plural, but it isn't, because we already have a nominative word there, and we can't have two subjects next to each other like that. And we know that from this exercise, the biggest clue we're given is just noticing that in this exercise, we have a nominative and a genitive together. And so we need to make it say something of the something. Okay? So then Gloria Maria, we know that Gloria is nominative, subject, singular. All right? So it's glory and not glories. And then we know Maria is genitive, and is it singular or plural? We know Maria is genitive singular. So we have two singular nouns, and we can go ahead and translate it. Remember, nominative, go ahead and make the whatever, the glory. And then genitive, we want of the blank. We wouldn't say of the Mary, so let's just say of Mary. Okay, and so it's going to look like this. And you guys, exercise 12 is very easy. They all have this pattern, the blank of blank. But you have to figure out which one's genitive. It's the second one in all of these. Just go ahead and tell you that. The nominative comes first, and Maria, or the genitive, comes second, because that's how it's written in Latin. But what you also have to figure out is, are any of them plural? Do I need to say the glories of Mary or the glory of the Marys? You know? And so you can't just mindlessly go through it. You've got to look at it and pay attention. Go ahead and try number 7. Victoria Christianorum. Victoria, nominative singular. Okay, because we look at our first declension chart, there's no A in the plural column at all. It's nominative singular. And Christianorum, we look at our second declension chart. Okay, here's a genitive possessive plural. So let's write that, genitive plural, on our homework. Nominative singular, can you see it? Genitive plural. So the blank of the blank, the victory of the plural, Christians. You see why you got to know your vocab? Because then if you get to this point and then have to look up words, it's just too much work. It honestly is just too much work. If you get to the point where you're like, okay, I see this is nominative singular, I see this is genitive plural, now what in the world does it say? Keep up with the vocab so that so that your hardest part is glancing at the chart endings and they're right in front of you, and if you've memorized them, you can always write them out real quick. And then Latin starts going much more quickly. Okay, servus Dei. Servus, we have a clear nominative singular ending. And Dei, Deus Dei, is in genitive. We know it's going to be genitive. It's going to be genitive singular. And then we translate it, the servant, because it's singular, of God. The servant of God. Pause here if you have to look close at my notes. Try number 9 while I write it out. Amicus Christi. Okay, both of the words happen to be singular. Amicus Christi. Yes, Christi could be nominative subject in a long sentence some other time. But today we're looking at nominative and genitive stuck next to each other. So we assume Christi is genitive singular. Okay? And so we have amicus is one friend. I'm going to make it a friend. Remember, Latin has no translation for articles a, n, or the, and so you can put them in where you want. A friend of Christ. A friend of Christ. A friend of the Christ. Either one. Okay? There is exercise 12 for you. Go ahead and finish that exercise and do some vocab practice if you are realizing that you don't have it memorized the way that you should. Go back through your vocabulary after exercise 12 or before and really get that vocabulary under your belt. All right. Bye-bye.